Okay, so I want to show a bit about my AI second brain and some of the advances I think that it builds on top of the systems that already exist and then makes it a little bit more functional and cross platform and allows AI work to compound specific to whatever research you're doing, be that personal information, be that project specific or work related things. um, One single way to capture it and then work on it, whether you are at a desktop or on your phone at the pool. So, first, let's just go through some of the limitations of a simple like Chat GPT or Claude app. Okay. So, within the Claude app, like if I go here, um, this, like my projects, which would typically hold ideas or like, the individual files that I want associated for certain work, that's very manual and I have to upload those things and make sure they stay up to date, etc. And they don't file into a file system as cleanly to where everything lives in one place. I know where everything is and I can find it easily. So let's start there. So everything hinges off of on my desktop, there is a folder under the documents AI. Okay. So it's just your user at AI. And so, in short, this is all of my work that I want to include. So we'll dig into more of this, but think of it as a central database of notes or news articles, even back and forth exchanges I've had with an AI session about those articles, like uncovering more information, things I want to save and build on go into here. So where's the best way to look at this? So let's like, for example, where the Claude app, and right here I'm using Claude Desktop, which is essentially the same thing as if you type claude.com or use the app on your phone. This is the same interface. Um, where that differs from the terminal, right? So this is just PowerShell on Windows. You can use terminal on Apple or iOS if you use that. But I showed you I have that one folder. So if I just go into the AI folder, now I have scoped everything to only what I want the AI to see. And if I enter Claude, because I have Claude Code installed, it loads up the terminal window. And again, what's powerful here is that it can create and write across that entire file system. And in manual mode, you have control over what it edits and creates or reads. But for my use case, I'm okay to go to auto, where it will just work through it because I've already limited its ability to do damage. Um, so, for example, like if I come into here and I just say, what are my to dos, right? So while this works, what it's doing, um, this file system you just saw, okay, a key system in it is Obsidian, and Obsidian is this guy here, but it is essentially a markdown file storage system that is completely free and allows you to visualize your notes very cleanly. And I would say more interestingly, it's also a knowledge graph as well. So as ideas come together or projects divulge, you'll see like pockets of um, notes that go together. So this looks like, what am I doing here? I don't know, but that's kind of the beauty of it is I don't have to know because AI can navigate everything. But you get the idea, like notes linked to notes, and I'm following or part of this whole system that the AI is running is that it auto creates this, auto makes sure things are maintained and clean so it's actually usable into a wiki. So let's say, let's just like dig into the wiki, right? So these are files or notes that I've chatted with AI either in the terminal or through Claude. And I've said, hey, I want you to save this to my second brain. And these are kind of how I want the structures to be. So the beauty is you can scope this, whether if it's like for yourself and you want to include personal things like your rent search, I've even got health documents or my finances. It has access to all my brokerage accounts, so it knows my portfolio. So I can do research, meaningful research, without feeding it back. And I'll show you what that looks like. Yes. But let's take a step back before we get to the wiki. But maybe I could show you what that looks like quickly. So this note was AI generated, and I'll show you how it was AI generated. But essentially, I read a Wall Street Journal article that talked about AI, and it was mentioning Palo Alto Networks, which is I own. And so I wanted to flush it out and see how it impacts me or if I care. But you can see all this front matter. So it is recorded and easily searchable by an agent. So you can see it's an active node. It's source, it's linked to other things. You can see where it was audited by my security agents, and then it also goes into a suggested portfolio change idea. So blah, 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 judgment, cool stuff, right? That's what this has the power to do, and it builds on this over time. So if I have another idea down the road that mentions Palo Alto, this now becomes a new linked idea, and I have a compounding work effort that I can just chat with freely in the box. So just to show you that it works, here's my terminal that I said to-dos. Here it is. It read through my vault, the Obsidian vault, to my task lists that are open and that have the owner as human. You can also delegate these to an agent, so it works in the background. So you want to research anything, like you can set the owner as agent and just do that with real language, and then it takes off in the background. But it's important that all this works on the desktop, which I leave as always on now, because when I add a new journal article or a new article into this system, I have an orchestrator agent that checks every 30 minutes for new notes, new articles that I added, whatever, new tasks, and then it sends it to the right place. It creates a wiki entry if needed, or it kicks off some kind of agentic research. But you can see, like, here's my stuff I need to do, right? Pretty cool. And then this can turn into just like a daily report, or like really you could do anything with all this information, right? So what happens when I say, what are my to-dos? So I started the Claude session within that AI folder, and at the top of this AI folder, again, we're looking at the same file structure here. There's a claude.md, which for the terminal interface is a set of instructions that the agent reads every time. So in here, it says, like, here is the AI file structure. Here is how the system was built. So if you have questions about how things work, there it is. Here's rules, here's instructions, what lives where, etc. Blah, blah, blah. But we can see it a little bit at a higher level from the README. This is for like humans to read. But you can see there's the unattended agent that folds notes into a wiki. So think you're folding a piece of paper into a larger book. That's what is happening here. So here's references to like how some of the loops work, i.e. like the orchestrator, how it knows where to fold stuff, etc. If you want to browse the knowledge base, so we have all these, at some point, hundreds and hundreds of files can live under here, right? So instead of the AI searching through each of them, it goes to the index and it says, oh, okay, here's the big topics and generally what they're about. So based off my question, it goes and finds, this active project for an apartment search in New York. It goes and gets that and is able to do work within that new folder. Okay, and I think this can be scoped to however you want it, and I have a prompt that would help you build this and walk you through it. But for the sake of time, like just a quick example of like what this allows me to do now is because it's on and because the desktop has access to everything and it's like the master folder, what you can build on top of this are custom connectors from your mobile Claude to be able to reach this master AI second brain, right? And I have like instructions on how to do that. Let me see. I just had one. I was going to show you. It's not this. It was this. Okay. Wall Street Journal article. It was about the AI escaping its testing center. And I said, okay, can you do research about what this actually happened in these attacks, blah, blah, how it got out of the lab, whatever. So again, the Claude desktop or the Claude app doesn't know about all of my previous research, but I know that that's interesting. This is what I want it to do. It did it. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. I said, I like this. Package this into a PDF plus a summary from this, notably about Palo Alto, because I own it. Here it is. Okay, this is something that is work effort that I would like to save into my second brain, right? So I have can you send that brief to the keep, which is what I call the second brain. I have a custom skill that I created. Essentially, it is sending this file to a Google Drive folder because Claude Mobile has native connectors for Google Drive and everything else is kind of a pain in the ass. So you send it to Google Drive, and then again, every 30 minutes, this agent that I have sitting inside of, on top of all of this, it fires off and goes and, it checks for new notes if I added it straight to Obsidian, but it also goes and checks that Google Drive, I call it the inbox, and then it folds it in and saved it in here. So we had that folder. Hold on. Boom, I saved it. It's Rogue Hacks. It's in there. And so blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the vault, the agent went and found it. It probably kicked it to finance that. Is this it? Yeah. Yeah. So this is that same note. That same note, it folded it into my finance thing, etc. Some of the security reasons, because this has so much information that is potentially sensitive and you want to be careful about AI because things are getting crazy. Why this is so cool is that every change to this vault is made under a mirrored GitHub repo. So this is the same vault. It's just there. Any change that we make to the code base or any note, it gets saved and it has receipts as well. So we know what changed and we can actually roll it back to previous versions if something breaks or like it wrote wrong information. It can go back and the AI can audit all of this. So I don't have to really touch too much. And because it's in GitHub now, we can create a custom connector for like Claude on our phone. If we're at the pool or something, it's like, hey, I want you to use the GitHub connector and go and read about this news article. Like I have a question about it or a new idea, and then kick off some more research, send it to the desktop, and then it works in the background. I think it's pretty cool.